Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Thursday evening. It is 9 o'clock. Time to gather in the Royal Library and live stream. But first, as always, a little music. Enjoy.
We are all the heirs to Scotland, as a nation proud we stand. We will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. To the world we bid a welcome in 1,000 different ways. We will toast to long lost friendships as we build our better days. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. We are all the heroes of Scotland. We're a nation hand in hand. We will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum.
Good evening, folks. Nice to see you all here. And yes, we will not have Steve Cray, our terrific moderator, this evening. Sorry to say there has been a death in the family, sudden death. I received a phone call from him earlier to let me know. So there's not much we can say about that. I'm sure he'll cope as best he can. The other thing to say is I finally caught up with our other good friend Ian Marr on the telephone, and Ian is A-OK, like we thought. Absolutely, Toffee, yeah. What can you say? There's really not a lot you can say when someone dies. Words seem so empty, useless. However, I'm sure he'll get through it. He's a good man, Steve. Good evening, Skywalker. Absolutely, Amanda. Nice thought there, Scott's Hammer. Yeah, I won in the chat for Steve and his entire family. Doesn't really matter who the relative is. It's always a trying time. Always difficult. You're very generous with your thoughts. Good evening, Special K. Yeah, it's sad. He tells me his relative is only 59. And these days, that's considered to be really young. Yes, indeed, Toffee, a very kind man. He wished me a happy birthday Monday just gone past. Well, happy birthday to you, Toffee, just gone past. I really appreciated it. A very kind man. He is indeed. Very thoughtful. He's always very good. If for any reason he's going to be late or he's not going to come on or whatever, he always gives me a ring on the phone to keep me informed. And that's always appreciated, of course. Not that he has to do it. I mean, but it's a nice thought. Keeps communication. Oh, good evening, Lorraine. Nice to see you here. Scott's Armor. We have a quote here from the Bible. I'm sure you've heard the news that here and there in the US they're beginning to ban the Bible. Isaiah 41:10, fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you in my righteous right hand. I'm always impressed by people who can do that. Do these quotes from the Bible. Not something I can do. Skywalker. Well, that's the party badge, of course. Yep. Yeah. Just a little bit of information I picked up. I just got a poem for tomorrow, says Toffee. It's not very good, but I tried because I knew you wanted more entries. Well, I appreciate that, Toffee. Thank you. You sent me a JPEG and it will be included. As I said before on this subject, so let me repeat, this is not literary criticism. It's not a competition. It's simply to give people a small platform. And it's one of these things that never ceases to surprise me how many people secretly, if you like, write poetry. And I was always told, most of my younger life, I was always told that poetry was a niche market. Well, it certainly is a niche market, but it isn't as that niche isn't as small as I was led to believe. He did. That is absolutely correct. So if you get that poem into me, Toffee, I'll either myself or Chris will read it aloud. October, I seen that a guy has gotten arrested recently for reading from his Bible in the US. Yeah, he was reading in public. It was as you know, Americans call it the sidewalk. Yeah, he was on a pavement, and across the street on the other pavement was the alphabet people with their so-called pride. And this man tried to make a quote from the Bible as to how sinful their actions were, but didn't get very far when he was arrested, taken into custody. It's the way it is, and it'll only get worse. Well, they don't only dare, Amanda, they actually do it because they've got the power, and that's why they do it. It's as simple as that. Rory, good evening. The only time I wear a suit these days is when I attend funerals. Well, I suppose that makes me somewhat on the outside because I am dismayed, to say the least, about the way modern men dress. It's dreadful. That's my opinion, for what it's worth. You can look smart in casual clothes, no doubt about it. But most of the men I see just look like unemployed bums, most of them. As I say, there's nothing wrong in being casual. I mean, I don't wear a suit all the time. I don't. I wear dress trousers, certainly, and a formal shirt because I detest t-shirts, sweatshirts. I've never liked t-shirts, ever. When I first hit this country, I was a wee boy and my mother bought me one and I hated it. Oh, good evening, my dear. I hope you're feeling a bit better. Well, Scott's Armour is adding, not surprising to hear, It was all foretold, and they will come for his pasture. Some people say we are in the tribulation, which is the end times. I'm not such an authority on scriptures myself. Oh, you want to read it yourself then, Toffee? Well, okay, we can do that. I don't mind. It's fine. Billboard Dan got assaulted again, says Special K. You're only getting my opinion about men's clothes and how they dress in this modern age. For years and years and years, I wore denims, mainly because it was a semi-uniform in the folk scene, which I spent a lot of time in, as you all know. But when I finally got a job in the school system, that all changed. Gavin, good evening. Scruffy tracksuits, FFS. But tracksuits and trainers, clothes for no-brainers. I like the wee rhyme there. It's a garment I have never worn. I have never had a kilt, nor have I ever tried one on. How often do you wear a kilt? Asked Rory. Well, that's the answer. I've never worn one. I reckon I don't have the legs for it. I think you need good burly legs to look good in a kilt if you're a man. And I don't have big muscular legs. But I've never tried it. A, they're too expensive to buy, and even if I had one, where would I wear it? Oh, good evening, Johnny Rotten. Hello, John and chat. I'm going to listen while I make dinner. So a big hello to everyone, and a hello to you, Johnny. Amanda, my eldest son works in London. He's only 27 and he no longer needs to wear a suit in the office. Smart casual seem to be all the rage. Toffee, do you mean right now or do you mean tomorrow? I take it you mean tomorrow. I mean, I'm not going to let you on tonight and read your poem when tomorrow night's the poetry stream. Of course, you can jump on, read your own poem. That's fine. It's even better, and then you can pop back off again. That's fine by me. Yeah, not a problem. It's about my dog. When? Why not? And why not, Toffee? Your dogs are a big part of your life, so why wouldn't you write about them? So that's fine, yeah. We can do that. And talking about tomorrow night, I have received another email from 42 who unfortunately can't be with us for the whole stream tomorrow night. He's got some engagement elsewhere that he needs to be at, but he will join us a little later in the stream. But we will have myself and Chris Webster. It looks like most men don't even own a pair of shoes. It kind of looks that way. And again, to me, this is just a racket, Amanda. Yes, they all seem to wear trainers, which are more expensive than shoes. Yeah, to me, it's a racket. You know, was it £150 or something for a pair of sand shoes? And that's all they are, just fancy sand shoes with a logo on the side. Not always. Crocs with chinos and a dress coat with a baseball cap screams stranger danger and a vegan predator to me personally. Scott's Armor. I think this way of dressing was encouraged a long time ago to help move along the agenda of separating men from women, so that men looked less attractive than they once did when they wore suits. And then the casualization of clothing, which doesn't suit every man. They look like athletes that have gone to stud or gone to rack and ruin, more like. Yeah, well, that's for my benefit, Toffee, not yours, my benefit. Amanda asks, have you got knobbly knees as well? Well, I think Laura, because she's here, would be best to answer that one than myself. I don't know. I think she would agree that I probably wouldn't look great in a kilt. I think you've got to have a robust physique. Let me put it that way. Perhaps muscular is the wrong word, but I think you need to be robust as a man to look good in a kilt. As for the knobbly knees, I don't know. Laura would be best to answer that one, or Lorraine, I suppose. Hiya, guys. Nice to see you here. Was a time where every day was assembly at school, and we marched in uniform and ready to be nationalist with Beethoven, Wagner, Mozart, all the boys playing as we went and sat for assembly. Yeah. Well, as far as I know, school uniforms are still encouraged. As far as I know, I prefer school children to be in uniform because it's a flag. If you see a young girl wearing a school uniform, that should tell you all you need to know about she's out of bounds. And I expect that would be the same for the boys. That's why I'm a great believer in school uniforms. Apart from that, when you don't have a school policy about uniforms, you get this fashion parade. And I've seen that as well, and that's just hopeless for discipline. Well, that's very true, Budgie. Even Doc Martens are smart now, and they used to be associated with Bova boys, yeah, skinheads and troublemakers. Ooh, steak pie in the oven, that sounds good. Gosh, I can't tell you the last time that I had that. Scots Armour, 100%, John. When it goes hand in hand, long gone are the days of proper wear. Now it's about dress and being the women's heavyweight champion of the world, wearing a bra and a pair of Schofield Speedos. Yeah, and the blouse is opened up down to here, somewhere just above the bra line. My big mate Jerry used to always ask about that. He says, how do you cope with that, John? I say that's very easy. Oh, yeah. I says, when you look them right in the eye, I see you can see it's a child you're dealing with. They may have all the equipment, but they're still children, and it shows in the eyes. The boys don't see it that way because they're in the same age group, of course. Okie doke, Special K. Well, that didn't help, Amanda. You're correct. Working from home made being scruffy while working the done thing, attending Zoom meetings in PJs. Yeah, yeah. Nah, my sister did a lot of that. Well, there you go, my dear Laura. You're being asked if I got knobbly knees. Well, I've no idea what's going on there with your comments, Skywalker. Obviously, you know it's nothing to do with me. There he is. There's Chris there. Well, Chris, I'm glad you did drop in because tomorrow night it's going to be you and I holding the fort. 42 has commitments elsewhere, but he's going to join us later in the stream. So you and I will be the co-hosts tomorrow night, if that's okay. What's my Laura saying about me? They are more nicer in a pair of stockings. Very good, Laura. Anglo-Saxon, good evening. Rory, a bird flew into my living room this evening. I think it was a thrush. I was thinking to myself, how could I catch it? Tried to take a photo of it, but then it flew straight out of the window. Interesting. So anyway, I don't know if anyone can do that. Can you do that? Well, that's terrific, Chris. That's terrific. I've got a few entries already. And I have the Kipling poem, The Beginnings, here. And these are pieces that I was sent today from Fiona Ross. So how many have I got? 1, 2, 3. 3 different pieces. 2 of them spread over into 2 pages. Haven't looked at them closely. I'll do that tomorrow. Oh, that sounds bad, Trevelyan. That sounds real bad. No, Joanna, I'm not going to come on the stream tonight. A serious incident has happened in my street. A stabbing. Oh. I heard screams. I thought someone had found someone dead. Police everywhere. It's awful. You no doubt get your door chapped. Trevelyan. I take it you've all heard about the horrific stabbings in Paris today, where one of our rich, divergent people stabbed 7 children with a knife in a public park during the day. I'm sure you've all heard about it. I decided against bringing the video clip of it. My son showed it to me when he came home. This man running about, and I have to add that some other man in this public park, the minute he saw it and he heard the screaming, he took his backpack off and used it as a kind of shield and stood up against this murderer. And chased after him. Quite horrific. And this is someone who's already got asylum in Sweden, so he's floating all over Europe. This happened in France just today. 7 children, 7 wee ones, including a baby, a couple of babies, like real infants and little toddlers, all the way up to I think the oldest child is about 10, and a couple of adults. It's just, what can you say? You run out of things to say. And it's happened in a house, says Trevor Lamb. The house has special needs, and I wasn't sure if he was having a meltdown. Well, best to stay indoors for the moment, Trevor Lamb. The police will no doubt come rapping at your door anyway. Be careful tomorrow. If you need to go out, if you don't need to go out, don't go out. Have a quiet day at home, if that's at all possible. Anglo, we are joining the third world at a terrifyingly fast rate. Well, that's for sure. That is for sure. It's beyond words, folks. It's beyond words. And we know, the government in this country have already admitted that this is a policy, bringing these people here. Toffee's adding to this. I saw the video, it was bullshit. He's swinging a knife around, but there's no blood, and I didn't see any toddlers being stabbed. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bullshit, Toffee. Perhaps that's the only bit that was captured on a telephone. I don't know. I'm just reporting what is being reported. Put it that way. That's what's being reported. And there is a possibility, of course, that it's fake news, simply to alarm people, especially mums who are out and about with their babes. It's hard to say. Personally, I wouldn't be at all surprised. It's just so hard. What? Even if he hasn't done anything, how far would you and I get straddling around in the middle of town, branding a knife? After all, they banned the scouts from having knives. They used to be part of the uniform. They used to sell them as scout knives. And that's a long time ago that was banned. You can hardly have a pocket knife on you. Yeah, that's right. Syrian, that's what it was reported as, a Syrian. I'm like everyone else. I don't know if it was an actual event. I hope it. In one level, I hope it wasn't. But on another level, he should still be arrested for running around with a big knife. You and I wouldn't get away with it. Not even a small knife, never mind a big one. And you can't tell it from the clip. As I've explained many times, and you all know this. I mean, you're all experienced in watching not only films but videos and the stuff that appears in social media. You know the power of the edit. If you edit something in a particular way, it can look really bad and horrific. So Toffee's adding they're trying to wind up the so-called far right into reacting. And that's a possibility, of course. Just watch the video. It's like something from Coronation Street, FFS. Well, I'd still say that'll be an offence in France. You can bet your boots on it. Branding, shing, a knife. Well, I haven't heard that, Rory. I heard that the French police shot the stabber in the legs, says Rory. I would have aimed for his head personally. Well, see, that's too quick for my liking. I want to see these people spend long years behind bars, and I do mean long years. But that requires other things, of course. Now, I was hoping that Bass would be here tonight so I could thank him in person. Because the other night on Tuesday or last week, no, it was last week, lots of you gave me suggestions about something that would help my cough. And I'm sure the one I used was the one that Bass offered up. And I hope you can all hear the huge improvement. I finally got round to having all the ingredients. Lorraine, Father, remember the day you sent me up home with a machete in a bag for Mum? Yeah, it came out of my mother's house, big knife. To make things worse, I went on a bus, not even thinking about it. You know, of course, why would we? It would never occur to people like ourselves to use such a thing. fuck all about that, Lorraine. Budgie, my opinion is the French brought this on themselves. Hardcore socialists. Yeah. Well, I do agree, Toffee. I mean, you're correct. I've seen it a few times, and there is no blood on the blade. Not that I'm anxious to see a blade full of blood. Has everyone actually seen the video? Well, as I said, I decided not to show it. I suppose I could get it, and you can see it for yourself. It's Paul Joseph Watson. I saw it in. And Toffee's correct. You don't see any blood. And he's right to be skeptical. As I say, I was just reporting what, or repeating rather, what Paul Joseph Watson was saying. Let me find it, if I can. Probably won't find it now. No, it's not that one. Or is it? Got a few of his here. Maybe it is. We'll see if this is the one.
Survey. Would you favour or oppose the government installing surveillance?
No, it's not that one. If I find it, I'll put it up. Well, Toffee's adding personal experience now. I've been stabbed, and the amount of blood is shocking. Well, I'll accept what you're saying there, Toffee. You'll know. I know when I had a bottle smashed over my eye here. You're right. The amount of blood that came from that was unbelievable. And I expect getting stabbed would just be as bad, if not worse. Especially if you get stabbed, obviously, in a soft part of your body. I should imagine then that the blood would just flow like a river as you try and hold yourself. It's always the same when you're looking for something, isn't it? Can't find it. Where is it? I assumed that you would all have seen this thing. I can't seem to lay my hands on it. And of course, YouTube have changed the whole layout yet again. Forever doing that. Hate it. Not unless I've pulled it. Well, I can show you this one then.
In America, you can now be arrested.
I'll show you this one. We were talking about it a little bit earlier there. I'll show you this. Well, you've been stopped as well, Anglo. It's awful. Anyway, have a look at this one. This is the Bible one. I can't seem to find the other one. Perhaps they've already pulled it. There you go. Have a listen.
You can now be arrested for disrespecting an LGBT event. During a Pride March in Reading, Pennsylvania, Christian preacher Damon Atkins held up a sign that said, "Jesus said, go and sin no more." But he soon discovered that the First Amendment is null and void when words might hurt the feelings of the alphabet people.
Guys, I'm respecting them.
Respect them, or else.
You know who's cheering for us? The people that are in hell. So you do you, and I'm going to do me. This is public property. You. God is not. That's it. God, this one,
Oh, he was about to read a Bible verse. In America, arrest the thought criminal.
Getting this on film.
can I give him my bag? All the stuff's in. Yo, I'm going to need you to go to 128.
Woo! We're so oppressed that the cops immediately arrest anyone who makes sounds with which we disagree.
And they're clapping. Brothers, man.
I cannot believe I'm watching this.
Altar. Oh.
We're going to get started. My name is Enrique Castro. I'm the executive director of Grand Pride Celebration. And it is my
God bless you, brother.
To wish you all a happy Pride Month.
Atkins told the Lancaster Patriot that he was going to quote a portion of 1 Corinthians 14:33. God is not the author of confusion, but he did not finish the quote because he stopped when he was handcuffed by Police Sergeant Bradley T. McClure. In the affidavit, McClure accused Atkins of making derogatory comments to the people at the event. Again, handcuffed for offending their feelings during a public march. Instead of the police facing embarrassment and internal investigation and apologizing to Atkins, which is what should have happened, the preacher was charged with disorderly conduct. Truly, how persecuted are you? How marginalized is your movement when you can rely on the state to instantly arrest your critics, despite the fact that they're on public property, completely legitimately exercising their First Amendment right? When you can organize a protest safe in the knowledge that the police will silence any counter-protest, just how institutionally discriminated against are you? Really? Naturally, shitlibs can scream all manner of vile things at conservatives and nothing happens. Atkins himself said he attended another Pride event earlier in the week and said a man told him that if I had a gun, I would shoot you in the head. So much for the tolerant left. These same kind of cretins chanted "fuck Ashley Babbitt" at a march for the deceased Trump supporter attended by her own mother.
Ashley Babbitt! Ashley Babbitt! Ashley Babbitt! Ashley Babbitt!
Don't disrespect the alphabet people, though.
So there you go. So yes, as I was saying, I finally got all the ingredients for the herbal tea, or to make herbal tea, and I took the very first one about 5:30 yesterday, and a big improvement, huge improvement. So I took another one last night at 10ish, and I've had one at lunchtime, and again one about 5:30. Hasn't gone away, but you can hear the difference, I'm sure. So I was going to, if he's here tomorrow, I'll thank him personally. But it's made a big difference. So that's good. So I'm going to pass this recipe on to Laura, who has similar difficulties, bearing in mind that half her lung was removed last year in a major operation to remove a cancerous speck that was sitting close to her lung, not in her lung, not on her lung, but close to her lung. So they took this portion of her lung away for safety's sake. So she has a bit of a congestion and throat difficulty now. But it certainly has helped me, not cured it or anything, no. As you can hear, I've still got a bit of a cough, but nothing like it was on Tuesday. So that's good as far as I'm concerned. And the other thing is, I put in a complaint about the live stream last week going haywire, and this week. And tonight what I'll do is I'll put in another complaint about Don Browning not being able to appear in the chat, which is a complete mystery. Yeah, well, I bet that was for both of you. Oh, he certainly was, Anglo. Thanks for remembering to get hold of Kipling's Beginnings. He was one of us, so yes, he was indeed. Well known for it at the time. Very well known for it. I think they've removed it. I think that's what's happened. It was here when I turned on a computer. Or is that it there?
France is set to embark on yet another tumultuous conversation about the impact of mass immigration after what happened today. A group of small children.
No, I have it. bring it on. So here is the one. So as Toffee said, have a close look at the blade that he's wielding, and you'll see that it doesn't seem to have any blood on it. So here we go.
To embark on yet another tumultuous conversation about the impact of mass immigration after what happened today. A group of small children were playing in a park in Annecy, not far from the French Alps this morning, when they were viciously attacked by a man armed with a knife, leaving 4 toddlers in critical condition. One of the young children was a British girl on holiday with her parents. Another of the victims was just 1 year old. I've been in this park, the lake, the mountain backdrop, one of the most peaceful places on earth that you could wish to visit. Until today. I saw children at the end of the lake, some children on the ground, some injured children. It's horrible, said one eyewitness. Another told BFM TV that a knifeman jumped out, started shouting, went towards the push chairs and started repeatedly stabbing the children. And yet, I've seen the video of the attack. It makes your blood boil. And in a development that surprised hardly anyone, it was quickly revealed that the culprit was a Syrian asylum seeker, a refugee. But here's the kicker. He'd already been granted legal refugee status in Sweden. He was a legal refugee in the eyes of European law. His presence in Europe was green-lighted, rubber-stamped by the authorities. Charlotte Cobell, Minister for Childhood, said, "Once again, our children are the targets of rising violence in our society." Wow, talk about avoiding the elephant in the room. Is it really any wonder that France isn't interested in stopping the boats coming to the UK, especially given their history over the last few years of violent and criminal acts carried out by migrants? The beheading of schoolteacher Samuel Paty, the beheading of a woman near a church in Nice, the killing of a Catholic priest, the chaos before last year's Champions League final, the Paris massacre carried out by jihadists who entered Europe posing as Syrian refugees, the Nice truck attack. It goes on and on and on. All across the continent, the warning of prominent figures like Michel Houellebecq, France's greatest living author, that Europe is being swept away by the consequences of mass migration is coming to pass. The warnings have been completely ignored time and time again. Meanwhile, the Swedish Prime Minister has become the latest prominent politician to speak out on the problems caused by mass uncontrolled immigration. Let me be clear, massive immigration and poor integration just doesn't work, said Ulf Kristersson. Kristersson is introducing new border controls that he says will be the strictest in the European Union, with migrants mandated to learn the Swedish language and respect the country's heritage and culture. But with the sheer amount of migrants that have poured into Europe over the last 10 years, and with some estimates saying native Swedes will become a minority in their own country within decades, for countries like Sweden and France, is it too late?
Well, something wrong, because he did have the video that he showed, so I think it's been pulled already. Toffee, yeah, I was speaking to Dawn earlier. Absolute mystery why her comment didn't show up in the chat. And as you're saying, Anglo, it's real strange that Dawn came on the stream the other night but can't comment. Really odd. Yeah, well, I'm going to highlight that at the end of this stream. There's a new box they've added for comment, you know, to let them know supposedly if everything went okay or it didn't. Well, I've already done it, and I'll do it again this time specifically for Dawn. I think it's to do with StreamYard. I agree, Rory. I don't think it's YouTube as such. Because if you remember, the other interruption we had twice, at my end, I had myself and I had Parker and I had a photograph up of them camping, and then suddenly it was gone. We had the lag going on 3 images, and then suddenly it came back. And then later on in the stream, it went away again, and again it came back. Now, I've already put in a complaint about that. I'll put the complaint in about Dawn. That's one heck of a number, that. 5 million. 5 million. 5 million Muslims in France alone. Ah, there's Steve there. I hope you're feeling as well as you can, Steve. Hello, everyone. I've had a few drinks to take the edge off things, and my daughters have popped around to see me. I'm sorry to have missed the stream, but losing my cousin, age 57, has hit me hard. Oh, it will do, Steve. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, these days, that's young. It really is. I know it used to be considered. An old age of 57, 60. Not anymore. He was more like a big brother to you. Well, it's a big loss. It's a big hole in your life. Oops, it moved. Scott's Armour. I'm on streams to keep dissident content. Sorry guys, my keyboard has a stroke. And by the way, folks, Scott's Armour is advertising a return to streaming, or at least as far as I'm aware, it's a return to streaming. So give him your usual support. As you know, he is a good guy, and we all need the support, all of us. Yeah, will you be careful, Steve, not to get too down. Alcohol is a depressant, remember, and I'm sure it's okay tonight, having a few, and gets over the shock. And shock's a bad thing as well. Scott's Armour is saying, no worries, brother. We all wish you and your family comfort through this difficult time. Yeah, absolutely. I am here, like everyone, if you need to talk, brother. Absolutely. I certainly second that. That's what it means when we say community. This is what we mean. We support each other through bad times and good times. Sorry to hear your sad news, mate. And of course, this is all sincerely said. And that's the other thing it's important to realise. must have gone peacefully, which is a comfort. Absolutely. No bother, Scots. I got the note. I have the notification. I know you're sensible, Steve. I know that. I'm just stating the obvious, of course. We all know these things. And that's true also, Toffee. Should you ever need a voice or an ear at the other end, don't hesitate. It's very easy to get yourself into these dark circular thoughts. Oh, you're not bringing the stream down at all, Steve. Don't be silly. There you go. Toffee is saying, Steve, you can ring me whenever. I'm always on the other end of the phone. Same goes to you all. Oh, there you are. A solid, kind offer from Toffee. And that goes for all of us, as he is already saying. After my daughter left, I felt like being in good company. Well, that's a way to be thinking. It's a way to be thinking. I know it's strange when we haven't met physically, but that's one of the things that borders on the miraculous about human beings. We can form these bonds with each other across electronics. Okie doke, Chris, thanks for popping in, and obviously if you pop in the chat tomorrow night, I'll drop the link in for you and you can come on, and that way the link's in the chat. Toffee wants, well, you probably heard him say, Toffee wants to read his own poem, so he can pop on, read his poem aloud, and then he's going to pop off again. So we'll do it that way rather than me sending you the email as I usually do. I'll put it in the chat, and then Toffee can use it when he's ready. Rory, my cousin David passed away at the age of 47 due to a heart attack running back from his gym. He was a fit man, having served in the British Army and even 23 SAS. It just shows you just can never tell. It was obviously his fixed moment in time, just like Steve's relative. When it's your fixed moment in time, that's it. It's time to move on. No. Why don't you worry about that, Steve? I was halfway through forming a poem when I heard the news of my cousin. Well, as I say, don't get yourself in a fret about a half-finished poem. You can always get back to it when you're in the right frame of mind. It can always be read at some later date. I'm sure Chris will have a few of his, and then when 42 joins us, he will have a few as well. So don't worry about it. Main thing is getting yourself through. My cousin's name was Mark, and I'll probably see him again one day. I believe so. I believe so. For me, the afterlife is real. Nothing that I could objectively prove to you, but for me, it's real. So I am confident that at some point in the future, you will see him again, Steve. Under different conditions, of course. Better conditions than here, that's for sure. Well, I'm confident of that. Well, Toffee, as beautiful as your Scottish lilt is, well, thank you, Toffee. It wouldn't sound right if you read it. It's only 3 verses, like it's pretty crap. It's fine. It's fine. I'm happier that you want to come on and do it yourself. Yeah, that's a good idea. Give us an M in the chat for Mark. That was one of my hopes for the poetry stream, that people who sent them in might come on and read their own poetry. So Toffee's in a sense breaking new ground here by writing one and coming on to read it. Steve's looking forward to hearing your poem, Toffee. Well, I certainly am. Is this another light hiding under another bushel, perchance? Well, we'll hear it tomorrow night, Skywalker. It's best if he keeps it for tomorrow night when we're doing the poetry stream itself. Because I'll repeat you again, folks, this is not a competition. And it isn't literary criticism either. It's simply offering a platform for artistic expression. That's spooky, says Steve, as my cousin lived in Bushel Close. Interesting. That was always my fear, that if we tried to get this up and running, that it would be misconstrued as some kind of competition, and it's not. It really isn't. Friday night was always meant to be a stream that dealt more with art and artists than anything else. People who have been here a long time know that. And I'm not going to go over how it all came crashing down a couple of years back. So I'm really pleased that we're managing to do a second poetry live stream. And about 2 a year is probably enough. It's just about your time, Amanda, isn't it? Unfortunately, I have to say goodnight. But I will say a special prayer for you and your family, Steve. Take care, brother. Oh, that's very thoughtful, Amanda. It is indeed. No, there's no competition among friends, Skywalker. You're quite correct. Oh, but how it all came crashing down, Skywalker, is that what you're saying? Toffee, I feel silly now. Don't be like that. Don't start going coy on us. It's only 3 verses and about my dogs. I just wanted to do one because John said he needed more entries. Hope it's not too cringy. No, it won't be cringy. It'll be authentic. That's what it'll be. It'll be authentic. It's coming from you, and we all know how you feel about the dogs. Right. So it can't be phony. We know how you feel about your dogs. Steve, my apologies to you, John, if it was my photos that crashed your stream on Tuesday evening. The Packer show was interesting. No, I had nothing to do with that. The computer is perfectly able to show a single still photograph and have 2 people on the live stream. I've shown photographs with more people on the live stream than that. It was certainly not the photograph. It's something else that was going on, because we've got this other peculiarity now with Don Browning somehow not being able to appear in the chat. Crashing down. Yeah, it went crashing down. Good evening, Packer. Oh, there's Sensum. Sorry, I'm late. I spent all day waiting for William's stream to start. He's probably out enjoying the weather. You know what he's like about plants and wildlife and stuff like that. Or he's out looking at the chemtrails. But thanks for being here, Sensum. I'm glad you're here, Steve. You know, at least you've got a sense of having people who care about you around you at this time. And that's the main thing. It's too easy to get into dark circular thinking. Joni's off for dinner. Have a good night, y'all. Dinner time. Well, enjoy your dinner, Joni. Yeah. Best place to chill. Well, that's what I was saying a bit earlier before you came on, Steve. Have you been drinking your ginger tea as your cough seems a bit better? Yes, I have. It took me a wee while to get the ingredients together, okay? And then I had to search in my kitchen cupboard to find the the teapot and the strainer. So yesterday about 5:30, without knowing anything about the ingredients, how they should be put in, what I did was I remembered when my granny was alive, if there was 3 people waiting for a cup of tea, she would put 4 teaspoons of tea in the pot. So it was 1 for each person drinking the tea and 1 for the pot, this extra one. So what I did was I put 2 teaspoons of tea in the pot. Then I added 1 of the herbs and 1 of the ginger and did my best to stew it as was instructed. And then drained it off into, and I've lifted out a cup that's not normally, well, it's not a cup, it's a mug that hasn't been used. I get tons of these mugs that hasn't been used. So I lifted this one out and I thought, I'll keep this for the herbal tea. And I filled the mug up halfway, added 1 teaspoon of the honey and took it, and I felt all around here really like a warm glow, and it reached up through my throat and almost into the mouth, but not quite. And you can hear the improvement. It's not gone away totally. I don't know if it will go away totally. And I've had 2 today, one again about lunchtime, one about 5:30. And I was able to sleep without being awoke with this coughing and mucus everywhere. So the mucus has definitely gone down considerably, and so is the coughing. So there's been a huge improvement, and I want to thank Bas for that, because it was his recipe that I decided to use. It seemed the simplest one. Oh, right. That's right. I'd forgotten about that sensor. He was supposed to have Bart's Cibrel on at 3 p.m. our time. Turns out it's now 2 a.m. tomorrow. That'll be interesting. I'm amazed that he managed to get him on. That'll be brilliant. It's a bit late though, 2 a.m. I can't do that anymore. So yeah, it's made a huge improvement, and I'm going to pass this on to Laura, who's got a similar problem, Steve. If you remember, I told you last year she had a big part of her lung removed. She had this cancerous growth, not in a lung or on a lung, but very close to the lung. So they took, as a safety measure, they took a good part of her lung away. So she's operating with the lung in a bit. But you can hear yourself, all of you, that it's been a huge improvement. So I'm going to just keep taking it. It won't do me any harm. What's 11 hours between friends? Not a lot usually. I'd forgotten about that, Sensor. Thanks for reminding me. Brilliant he's got him to come on though. I mean, that's a scoop in itself, is it not? At least I think it is. Scott's Armour is asking, John, please block the foreign bot. Censor him. I tell you, folks. Oh, stovies. Oh, I think there's an infinite number of ways to make stovies, Skywalker. I know the way it was, and again, it's something I haven't had in a lifetime. I forget about these things, these traditional foods that I was brought up with. The way it was always, my mother always made it, and my granny made it the same way, is you simply do the potatoes and it would be sausage, usually cut in pieces, and that was it. And that's obviously the way I like to have it myself. But my gosh, I couldn't tell you the last time I bought sausages. Oh, there he is. John, I got the hat, but I'm mad. Well, I'm just telling everyone how successful herbal tea has been. So thanks for that, Bass, that recipe. I just used equal amounts. And what an improvement. What an improvement there's been. It's not going entirely, I might add. I've still got a bit of a cackle here. But something that I haven't been able to do for a while now is I can take a breath and I don't immediately start that awful coughing and my nose is filled with mucus. I know it's a no nice topic, that. But it has worked, so thanks again. And I'm passing it on to Laura. And what I like about it is the fact that nothing to do with doctors and big pharma or anything like that. That's obviously some leftover from the past. Rory, regarding how many teaspoons of tea to make a pot of tea, my mother also used to say One for each person and one for the pot. The only problem I had with that was the size of the pot. Well, there is that. There is that. Now, this is a small metal thing that's been, well, originally it belonged to Helen, so I don't know how old it is, but it's been sitting in that cupboard for, well, at the very least 40 years. So I needed to get all that cleaned and make sure that it was fine for using. So as I say, I'm just going to keep using it now that I've got the recipe, and it seems to be, well, it's hugely improved, this. Oh, there's Exile Viking. Good evening, sir. So, that's the way I make stovies, just simply potatoes and sausages. My grandmother used to always make another thing that was very peculiar to our family, and that was, and it was named pantomime stew. And pantomime stew is simply vegetable soup, Scottish vegetable soup made in the traditional way. But what my gran would do is she would add pieces of square slice to the mix, and that gave it a really spicy taste. So when you got a plate of pantomime stew, it was really a soup, but she called it a stew. You would get a piece of square slice in there, and it was good. It would heat you up in the winter time. Oh, there you go. Lamb. Something I can't take, folks. Lamb. I have lamb chops and lamb bones in the fridge. Going to use them to make broth soup, says Scott's Armour. Lamb is not something that I'm fussed for, to be honest. I always thought it was a bit of a waste myself. Lamb chops. No, I'm thinking of pork chops. Beg your pardon. Take that back. But I don't really like lamb. It's too fatty for me. So, flush pots again. That's me. And the only soup that I make two forms of soup: chicken soup, which is real simple, and lentil soup, which Treble M uses now. She asked for the recipe, and she uses it now. And she's given it out to some of our pals, and they just love this, which is great. I've got a great recipe for curry. I used to make it a lot with, with white chicken pieces. And then when Helen was alive, we moved on to pieces of steak and had, a beef curry, and it was absolutely gorgeous. But again, the trouble is, folks, and I've got to be honest with you, it's very difficult when you're cooking for one. There's no incentive. Yeah, we hear that, William. I'd totally slipped my mind that you've got this Bart Sorrello in, which is a real coup, by the way, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he's such a well-known figure. So congratulations for even getting him to come on. That'll be really interesting. 2 a.m. now. I'll wait for the replay, William, if you don't mind. I can't keep those kind of hours now. I used to manufacture fresh soups, says Rory, for the present King Charles III under his Duchessy original brand. I hope you got well paid for it. So I say. So yeah, well done, William, getting this man to come on. I'm still chasing Jodie Kay to come on, by the way, folks. I've written another email to her. I still haven't received a reply from the first one. She has agreed to come on, and I then sent her an open invitation, let her pick her the day that she wanted to come on, and I haven't heard anything, so I sent another one off today. So I don't know, maybe she's on holiday, or I have no idea. I'm sure she's very busy, but she may well be on holiday somewhere. I'll keep you informed. Watch the space. Well, yeah, I mean, plenty of people went out of their way, Angle, to get me her address, her email address. And I did write, and eventually she did reply saying that she would happily come on the stream, but I then then I heard no more. I gave her this open invitation rather than tying her down to a particular day or date even. Tell her, Toffee, tell her you can take Entropy donations, John, and she might come on. Well, it's not really the spirit, is it? I'm sure it's nothing to do with that. I'm sure It'll be she's busy and doing other things, and as I say, she may be on holiday or simply enjoying the good weather while we have it. There's Linda. Good evening, Linda. Hello, John, and lovely chat folk. So again, I will remind myself tonight to make another complaint about Don Browning. Curious position. It's very peculiar. As I've already said, Scott's Armour sent me a link. I used the link and everything was clear there. Well, again, I don't know. Perhaps Jodie is busy getting her CD out. Yeah, she could well be. Did John watch 42 streams with AI Mac? No, I did not. Well, not yet, I haven't. No. Well, if she's busy trying to produce a CD, well, she will be busy. I know that. There's a lot of work in that. You might have to practice your yoga, John, says Rory, before Jodie Kay comes on. Well done you, Skywalker. I have learned Eternal Flow. It's really catchy and a lot of scope for variations, buddy. Well, I told you it was simple. All my stuff is, apart from one or two pieces, all my stuff's simple. I'm not a complicated player. In fact, I had my guitar out today for the first time because, believe it or not, I got some lines put into my mind for lyrics, and I thought I would get my guitar out and talk about being a learner again. It was awful. My nails are not even cut short enough. I'll need to cut them even shorter than they are. Well, that's it. Told you, 3 chords. Good evening, David William, son of Lorne. I think it did that, David, for a lot of people. Looking forward to the Sobrel chat. It was one of his first videos that shook me and started me questioning everything. Yeah, I'm sure you're not alone in that. Yeah, I actually had the guitar out. There you go. It's a shame that Doc's not here because he was wanting to know what key I had done it in. And it's in, well, it was originally done in G, of course. I told you it was simple. I don't know about variations though. I've no doubt that when you come and see me again, it'll be tried. Linda, I have been attempting a joint poem with Dawn. We have a theme. Oh, that's good. That's good, Linda. Now, let me add, as I've already said tonight, if this isn't finished, this poem that you're working on, if it isn't finished for tomorrow night, don't get into a sweat or a panic over it. All you have to do is when it is finished and you're satisfied, you can send it to me and I will read it anyway. Or I can keep it for the next time we do a poetry stream. I'm trying not to do too many of them. I think it's better if I spoke to 42 about this originally, and we kind of agreed that we would make this an occasional thing rather than a regular live stream item. Because if you do that, you then begin to put pressure on people. Whereas if you're doing, say, like 2 a year, well spread out, then people don't feel under so much pressure or any pressure. Good evening, Pressure Drop. Oh, he got it, did he? Oh, that's great. That's great. See, I find that, quite exciting that other people, such as yourself or Doc, is actually playing my music. I just find that pretty exciting. And I'm not saying that for any other reason apart from it's the truth. I find that exciting. And I never once thought that would ever happen. It will indeed, John says Skywalker. Oh, there's Jemima. I'm only here as a standby for my relative. It's a Doc. Very good. Very good. Please remember, like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I always forget about those things. Well, again, I would rather not say Skywalker because it's just the beginning, and it's possible it could just stay as the beginning. I don't know. Well, that's nice to know as well, Steve, that people join in at home. I don't think I did, Linda. to be honest with you. Oh, you'll be playing at the end, will you? Oh, well, that's even more amazing then. Really, that's amazing. You'll be playing that. Like I've said to you privately, I mean, artistic satisfaction doesn't have to be, I've got £1 million in the bank because a lot of people bought my records. I mean, that's another personal piece of satisfaction, knowing that, you know, you're sitting there with your nice guitar playing along. And it's nice to know that, as Linda said, we're all singing it. And never forget, Linda, this was Julia Skinner who urged me to use that particular song as the outro. And I'm glad I followed that advice. It seems to have become rather popular. Right, Toffee, we'll look forward to tomorrow night. I'm sure your dogs are eager to go for the walk, and we will look forward to hear you on the stream with your poem. So enjoy your walk wherever you go. And take care. And I think, what was that? I missed. Oh, there it is there. $1 million in the bank. Yeah. That's the kind of thing you dream about when you're a young man. That's the kind of thing I used to dream when I was a young man. But it might happen. I never did. But never mind. It's good to know that people enjoy, if not all, my music, at least some of it. And some of you are now playing my music, which is a big wow. Yeah, if only. Exactly, if only. But it is a big wow. I'm not just saying that for effect. Well, it's understandable, Steve, you're a little bit inebriated. I always remember that thing that's meant to be a quote from Winston Churchill. What was it he said? I'm intoxicated by the vivacity of my own lubricants. Oh, you're so right, Pressure Drop. You're so correct there. Money isn't everything. No, it's not. I know. Family and friends are worth much more. That's so true. So true. I'm just revealing a young man's desire as it was. The bells are calling you. Ding dong. Quasimodo. The bells. The bells. No, he's definitely correct. 100%. No doubt. No doubt. Imagine being a millionaire and sitting alone there in your villa in Spain, not a bugger around you. How miserable would that be? Huh? Jings, do I? That would be miserable. Sounds wonderful. It's but it's like anything else, isn't it? I mean, you want to be able to have people around you that you know actually genuinely care about you and you care for them. That's what makes it. Well, I got a recipe, David. I'll read what you've got here. For the chest and cough, have you ever tried the old method of some good sea salt in boiling hot water in a big bowl, towel over the head and bowl? Good deep breaths, works wonders. Again, some from the past. I remember I did that when I was a boy. Growing up, my mother would make, well, that wasn't for that. It was actually to cleanse the skin. I didn't know it had some effect for the chest and the cough. I've got this herbal tea recipe that Bass put up. Yeah, I know. I caught that myself, Skywalker. And it's been a huge improvement, and I'm going to keep taking it. I'm so impressed with it. I'm going to pass it on to Laura because she's got a similar problem to me. But thanks for that. I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, that's something that went on regularly in my house. I think you're absolutely correct, David. It's not just because you're on holiday at the seaside you feel better. It's because of the salt air. Yeah. So we'll see how the herbal tea goes, David. But thanks for that reminder. That takes me right back to boyhood. Really does. And that was my mother's way of getting my skin cleansed. And it really worked. I mean, it really worked. So I'm sure you can all hear the improvement. I can feel the improvement, honestly. I don't have anything like the nasal congestion that I was having. It was awful. Well, I would agree with that. Better a working class multi-millionaire than an upper class useless twat, we'll say. Well, there's always a downside to everything, pressure drop, isn't there? Well, you obviously know more about this than I do, David. If you have phlegm on the chest, salt will break it down, so easier to cough up. Smokers such as ourselves lose lung bronchia, think they are cold, that help bring it up. We see the other thing I have noticed that has come with age, folks, is, as you all know, there's a safety valve in here that allows the food to go down and not to come back up again. And when in the normal course of life, when you're coughing, that valve opens and allows you to bring the mucus up into your mouth so you can spit it out. But I've noticed it seems to close, especially those pretty violent bouts of coughing I was having. And that didn't help. So now the mucus can't escape, and that increases the coughing. And you're aware. I mean, I do feel a lot better for it, and that's why I say. Well, it's not herbal tea, Sir Thomas. It's real tea that I add these ingredients to. It's me it's calling it herbal tea. So it's not a herbal tea that I bought. I bought loose tea. I had to go looking for loose tea. Not so easy to find, I might add. Well, not in this town. So I'll stick with it in the meantime, and if I remember, I'll try the hot water and the towel over the bowl. Well, that's the obvious answer, of course. That's the obvious answer, William. Of course, that's not going to happen. I'm trying, William. I'm trying to, and this might sound awful for someone who doesn't smoke. I'm sure it does. But I'm trying to keep it down to a packet a day. That's close to halving my input. And it's not, obviously, I'm not even talking about the money. Oh, it's a sensible approach. I mean, I know that. I mean, I do know that. But I freely admit I've always enjoyed smoking. And under certain conditions, for example, if I was writing a short story or attempting another novel, my cigarette consumption just goes through the roof. I couldn't do it. I couldn't possibly consider writing anything of any length without a large cigarette supply, to be honest. That's good sense. Anyway, I thought most Scots were so tight they only breathed in. Well, I didn't know anything about that. These obviously fine hairs that we have in our lungs. I think citrus juice such as lemon, etc., clears your bronchial tract out. First time I've ever sounded like a doctor. It says pressure drop. I mean, you're all very kind and you've all got clear ideas as to what might help. But I've invested in these herbs and this loose tea. I'm going to stick with that because it has made an enormous difference already. And we'll see how it goes. It just seems to be a bit of a small cackle here, as you can hear, which produces this very small cough. Did anyone remember the smoking selection boxes at Christmas in the 1970s? A chocolate lighter, pipe and cigarette. I can't say I do, but it doesn't surprise me. Anything to encourage the habit. My late wife was the same, William. My father was the same, says William. He never gave up until the day when he couldn't even hold a fag. I've read reports, whether they are true or skewed, I don't know. But I have read reports that smoking cigarettes can and often does increase your concentration. And I have noticed, because I've tried, obviously you hear me speak about cigars, and I used to smoke a pipe for a while, and I discovered with the pipe that I found that a very reflective smoke. In other words, it was not particularly helpful when I was writing. I would kind of sit back and puff away at it and think about things. But it's very reflective. Well, I'm hoping it's done. It will do the trick eventually. If not, I'll try something else. But you can hear the improvement, and that's only a couple of days. So I'm just going to stick with it and work my way through this small walks of loose tea. And we'll see what happens at that point. I only smoke when I'm on fire, says William. Yeah, oh, I remember them well. They call them candy sticks now, and they don't have the red tip. And drinking has become easier, believe it or not, because this is obviously operating better than it was. So far, so good. Smoking saved my life and 3 others while serving in an underground shelter during the Cold War, says Rory. If I hadn't tried to light a cigarette, I would never have realized that we had run out of oxygen. I'm sure you would have noticed sooner or later with the inability to breathe. It never happen nowadays. Pressure drop. Imagine a company trying to bring them out onto the market now. Yeah, it wouldn't happen. It would offend somebody. We live in such a crazy time, we'll call it. That was one of the things I was thinking about, and I'm going to finish up on this thought. I don't know if anyone else is thinking this way. I don't know how closely any of you are watching this war in Ukraine. I'm watching it fairly closely myself, and the thing that seems strange to me, and I don't know if it's a direct result of modern communications or not, but it seems to me that everything that's going on and the responses to everything that's going on seems so damn obvious, almost transparent. You can almost predict what the other side's going to say. And I wondered if it would have been the same way had this, I know this is a daft thing to say, I realise this, but if this communication had been around when the Second World War was going on, do you think our reaction and response and interpretation of that war would be very different than it is? I got cracking stream, sir. Way past my bedtime. Up early. Good night, brothers and sisters. Farewell. We are much more. We are much more. Don't ever let anyone tell you differently. Every one of us is special, unique. Never been here before and never to be here again in the way we are. I know you're right. Pressure drop. Most people do, unfortunately, still believe the media. I hope you take my point. It just seems obvious to what's going on. That's how I feel about it. Okay, yeah, well, that'll be as gradual carbon dioxide poisoning, of course, breathing out. That's the other thing I keep meaning to ask you folks, and it's a bit late now to get into it. But when they keep talking about this carbon footprint, right, this is not at all clear to me what they're talking about. Are they talking about carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide? Because they're two entirely different things. If they're talking about carbon dioxide, then that's what we breathe out. That's what the plants take in, give us out oxygen again. That's part of the cycle of life. But what carbon are they talking about? Again, I guarantee they've got it shortened to carbon, the one word, simply to add confusion into the conversation. I guarantee it. That's the trademark, confusion. It can't be carbon monoxide. We don't produce carbon monoxide. Motor cars do that. So what the hell are they talking about? CO2? Well, there's Bass now. Thanks very much, Bass. I've been singing your praises all night. CO2, well, that's carbon dioxide. I think. I'm sure it is. Oh, I know it's a scam, Bass. I know it's a scam, but they deliberately do this. They just use that single word, and then we can jump back and forth to confuse the whole thing. But I want to personally thank you for the recipe that you supplied me. It's made a huge difference already, and I only started it yesterday about 5 o'clock. I had 2 cups yesterday, and I've had 2 today, and everyone can hear the improvement. I don't have that endless mucus coming up now. The cough is almost gone, but not entirely, and I'll stick with it. Right, Sensum, you're letting me know what they're talking about. No, John, it's just carbon. Well, this is nonsense then. We are carbon-based life forms, and everything we use, eat, do uses carbon. Absolutely. It's just a slacker's way of trying to monetize the entire planet. They have no idea. No, I agree with you. I mean, I knew it was a scam. I was not under any false impression there. But because they only ever use the one word, carbon, I thought, what are they talking about? Is it monoxide or dioxide? Well, thanks for that, Sensum. It's just carbon they're talking about. And I know it's a money scam. I mean, this is just another way of inventing a tax that is not possible to quantify in any possible objective way. That's all it is. I know that. I realise that. I wish more people realised that. So thanks for that clarity there, Sensum. So anyway, I'm going to call it a stream at this point, and thank everybody for being here, and thanks very much for come on, Steve. I think you did the right thing. Sorry for your loss. It'll be a couple of difficult days to get through the funeral and the wake, if you have such a thing down there. Yeah. Oh, I knew it was a con. It came into my mind recently, you know, why do they only ever use the one word, carbon? What is it they're talking about here? Is it dioxide or monoxide? Well, that's been clarified for me, so thanks for that, folks. And it isn't just a big con. I mean, they've been slogging away at this for endless years. No, I'm not going to be on much longer. No, you don't have time for a glass of port, Rory. Sensum is adding more info. CO2 makes up a whopping 0.04% of the entire atmosphere. Carbon's busted flush, hence why they are ramping up hysteria about nitrogen. Oh, God. An inert gas just because it makes up 70%. Oh, is this the latest now? Are they swapping horses? We're on to nitrogen now. No, it's carbon dioxide. Well, carbon dioxide is given out by every human being, absorbed by plants. I mean, you'll know this, William. That's part of what you'll be doing. And you would know that anyway before you ever went to college. And that's part of the cycle. Anyway, well, again, Steve, don't get yourself in a flurry over tomorrow night's stream. You've got a few days in front of you that are going to be a bit trying. So if you're not here, you're not here. You can always watch the replay if you wish, but you've got these stressful days ahead. Methane is a very big deal now, but the volcanoes. That's why they're going about cows, isn't it? Yeah. Break your heart. They are pathetic, these people. They are. They're really pathetic. Anyway. I like to get that 11 o'clock bell warning so that I can then attempt to wind down the live stream. Doesn't always work, of course, but that's what I try to do. So anyway, folks, as I always say, adios, au revoir, cheerio, and until tomorrow evening, 9 o'clock, poetry stream, myself and Chris will be here to begin with. We will be joined at a later point by 42. And if you've got anything you want to send in to me, please do so. Steve, you take care, and I hope you sleep well. And we'll see you soon. Yeah, they want to. Imagine genociding cows. What kind of madness is this? Anyway, it's too late to get started on that. Okay, folks, take care, and enjoy that interview, William. Hope you've got all your questions laid out, and I'll speak to you all soon. Okay, now get out of the way.
Silently the snow falls, paints a winter scene, swiftly spreads the dark rim, hides the fading autumn green. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, conjure friendships dear to me. Lightly now the breeze flows, disturbing more than just the leaves. But life's much more than we can know. We are one small glow in the eternal flow. Patiently the love grows, lifts the weary heart. Gently now she holds me, melts two worlds once apart. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, usher dreams of you and me. Softly then the breeze blows, disturbing more than just the trees.
All together now.
But love's much more
So much more
than we can know.
than we could ever possibly know.
We are one small glow,
But a very important glow.
in the eternal flow.
On you go, Skywalker.
Melodies of long ago, songs of innocence, harmonies to soothe the soul, has a consequence. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, awakening joys of you and me. Silently the snow falls, bringing winter symphony.
All together now.
But we're much more
So much more
than we can know.
than we could ever possibly know.
We are one small glow,
But a very important glow.
in the eternal flow. But life's much more than we can know. We are one small glow, in the eternal flow.
Okay, folks, thanks for all of you being here tonight, as always. Thanks for moderators. Thank you very much, especially for Steve, with so much going on in his family. So, take care, everyone, and I'll speak to you all real soon.